Hi everyone, it's Veronica and I have a project share today. I have created some cards using some prompts from hashtag two crafters one design. And for those of you who are not familiar with that hashtag, that is a collab that Melissa, who is Mo Creations, Gloria, who is Girliest Cards, and Lisa, who is You See Why I Am a Diva, created to keep us creating, keep themselves creating, keep us creating. I have not been participating lately, and what I decided to do was go back, look at the prompts, and pick a few to create with. So, what I'm going to do is take each card individually, share with you what I used to create it, and we're going to take a closer look at each one. So, if you're interested, stay tuned. All right, so the first prompt that I want to share with you that I used was the Spellbinders prompt. Now, let me say that these videos are not in any specific order, probably not in the order in which they presented the prompts, but these are just the ones that I chose, so we'll just go with it as is. So, again, the first prompt is Spellbinders. So, I used some of this gold twine. This came from Michaels. This die, which is Poppy Stamps, and it is called Heart Balloons. This 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders, and it's called Floating Balloons. My Creative Time, Let's Get Crafty cardstock. I use the sheet out of here. I use this gold sheet from Michaels. And the star of this show, even though those heart balloons were from Spellbinders, is this glimmer machine. I did purchase this sometime last year, had never used it, and wanted to give it a shot. I used this hot foil plate and die set, and I used both of these pieces. That's what that looks like. And the foil. I used both of these. Okay, let me clear this out and share with you the cards. All right, the first one, this is where all the gold was used. And you can see the shimmer on the sentiment, You Lift Me Up. And I thought the balloons were just perfect for that. And I love this die set. I don't think I've ever used this before, and I've had it for years and years. But that is the first one, and none of the insides are complete on any of the cards. And here I use, which I forgot to talk about, a variety of sequins that I had in my stash. You know, years ago we all were purchasing from Cartwright Sequins, so that's basically where all of these came from. This is that sheet out of My Creative Time, and that's that colorful foil. Have a colorful day, and I thought this was perfect with this sheet of cardstock with all the rainbow colors. All right, so again, that was the Spellbinders prompt using the glimmer and the foil. Okay. The next prompt was masculine cards. Okay, so here I used one of the sheets out of this My Favorite Things 6x6 pad called Hearts and Stripes. This is at American Crafts. I don't know if, yes, you can see the texture. This is that textured cardstock that I used. Paper Tray ink, True Black for my base. And I also used this photo play set that I've had for a very, very long time. I just use bits and pieces every now and again. And this is called Man Card. And that was the papers. And for the dies, I used Cottage Cuts Happy Father's Day, a portion of it. I didn't use the hat or the mustache. And the star player here is this brass and bliss die called Dress Shirt and Tie Dye. Okay, So let me move this out of the way. And this is the card that I created. Uh-oh, I left out one piece. I also used these decorative scissors by Fiskars. And I use those scissors to cut this red cardstock to put this piece in the pocket. There was no die for that, but I wanted it there. And this is how that card turned out. I thought it was so cute. And this is the inside. Okay, so that is the masculine card that I created. I could not believe that I allowed this prompt to bypass me. And I say that because this particular prompt is ink blending, and I am so loving playing with inks and blending ink colors. So that is what I did for this prompt, ink blending, and I'm going to share the products with you that I used. Pinkfresh Gems, and this is called Clear Drops Ice. I use this foil. This is for the mink. When I purchased the mink years and years ago from Tuesday Morning, they had these rolls of foil. This one has silver and gold in it, and I use the silver. Gina K Designs, I use the Happy Birthday sentiment from this Elegant Thoughts set. Master Layouts 2, I use this piece and this piece. And for those of you that aren't familiar with her Master Layouts, these are pieces that you can use to help you in your card making. And they are so precise. And you can do different layouts with them. And in fact, when she releases a set, she shares different layouts that you can use using that particular layout, master layout. I pulled out her Polyglaze for those elegant thoughts. And then I used die and stencil from this card kit. This was her Autumn Delight back in the fall. And you can see here all of the pieces that came in the card kit. I mean, it is loaded. But what I used were the stencils and the coordinating die. And you can see it has 3 flowers with it. And these are the inks that I use, and I love her inks because they have a blending agent in it. So even when you think your stuff is going to be splotchy and blotchy, it's not. It smooths out. So this is the Orchid Trio. I use the light, the medium, and the dark. Okay. And this is the card that I created. I just love how this turned out, and I had so much fun blending this. But this is the Polyglaze that is used, and then again I use the silver foil. So you just cut your sentiment, put the foil on top, and run it through the mink. All right, and the Pinkfresh Gems. And remember, this die had 3 flowers. Well, I cut one off, so I'll be using that flower on something else. And these are the Master Layouts pieces right here. So, so pretty. Absolutely love it. All right, and that is what I created for the ink blending prompt. The next prompt was Sizzix. And for that card, I used my favorite things again, this Hearts and Stripes paper pad, blue paper, and I know this was just in my stash. It was in my scrap drawer, actually. And again, more of this American Crafts red textured paper. I used Paper Tray Ink Vintage Cream for my base. And for dies, I use this Slimline card base from Divinity Designs. I use the this is the rectangles. The Slimline rectangles. I couldn't see it for that going on there. Okay. And then I also used this Slimline pierced window frames die from Divinity. And here I use the Your Special Day from this Impression Obsession die set. And the star for this prompt is this Sizzix die by Tim Holtz, and it is called Tailored. Okay? And this is the card that I created. I thought that turned out so cute. Okay. So you can see I did all of the hats and the shirts and all the coordinating pieces basically. And what I like is how these stand up, how the collars stand up. Isn't that cool? That is so cool. Of course, when you mail, if you have to mail it, you have to press those down with an instruction sheet, I would imagine. But I thought that turned out so nice. And this is the cream card base. But super cute. If you don't like paper piecing, this die is not for you. And I saw this die last year at Scrapbook Expo. It just caught my attention right away. And I think it was Be Creative, I think was the booth I bought this from. And with that special day die, I just took, once I cut it out, I just trimmed that base piece down a little bit so it wouldn't be as long, as wide rather, not as wide. But that is how that one turned out. So this could be Father's Day, birthday, anniversary, whatever, for a male. All right, so that was the Sizzix prompt. And the final prompt that I chose was arches. Now again, there were lots and lots of prompts that you can choose from. So you see, even if you have not yet participated, you still can. Whenever you choose and however you choose to interpret what that prompt is. So please take out those supplies that you have and pick some prompts and create. All right, so arches is the last one that I chose. Okay, so here I used some of these gems from Recollections. This is a tailored expression stamp set, and I used this Happy Birthday. These were papers that I picked up at the Scrapbook Expo on last year, and it's amazing just how thick this cardstock is. It's almost like lightweight chipboard. Really nice. And I pulled out a piece from this the laser cut elements. I pulled out this Spellbinders Be Bold Bloom die. This is a must for your crafty arsenal. And they have sales all of the time, so you can catch it on sale at some point. This Gina K embossing folder called Petite Flourish. And I use these Nested Arches dies from, and these are A2 dies from scrapbook.com. And I also pulled out some Copics and I did the YRs. 1, 2, and 4. Okay. And again, I created a card. Let me move this out of the way. And that's the card that I created. And this was Pinterest inspired. But look how cute that turned out. And the gems gives it enough sparkle. Here's that little laser piece. And all of these came out of Be Bold Blooms. Okay, so that is my creation for arches. I want to thank you all so much for stopping by and spending a little time with me. Thank you for your comments. And again, I encourage you to pull out your supplies and get crafty with hashtag 2crafters1design. Their links are in the description box, so make sure you go by their channels and check out their creations. And also put the hashtag into your search engine and you'll pull up tons of creators who participate with this collab. Again, thank you and happy crafting.